Hello and welcome to Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you on your journey to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. And this is your host, Beck Milonis, High Priestess, Channel, and Activator. Join me on this series as I share reflections, insights, and channel transmissions from my journey of walking the initiation path. Each episode is a unique transmission containing supportive frequencies to facilitate the deepest healing, activation, and reconnection with your soul. I invite you to open your mind and set the intention to receive this episode into your heart space. Let's go. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Cracked Open, a podcast about becoming a vessel of unconditional love. It's been a while since I've jumped on here live. As you can see, if you're watching the video, I'm back in a different environment. I'm in Australia again. I've returned back here to spend some time with my family, reboot, recalibrate, all of that after the huge trip that I had overseas in Central America. So a lot has happened since I've last hopped on here. I don't think I'm going to keep everyone up to date with every single thing that's happened in my personal life, because frankly, it's none of your damn business. But part of the reason I have taken so long to get on here is what I have been navigating and going through. And that's what this episode is about today. It's about faith. It's about what to do when you're having a crisis of faith, how to overcome a crisis of faith, what a crisis of faith is for. And just some things I've noticed coming up for myself. So hopefully they will serve. I am by no means completely out on the other side, guys. It took a lot for me to sit down here today and want to record this for the past 2 months since November. So November is when I headed off to Guatemala on my big pyramid hike through the jungle, which was downright one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life. I might come back to that in a moment. I might not. But that's when I headed off on my trip and I was fully in my travels. And since then, I was traveling for about a month around Central America and Mexico, and then had a conference around the UFOlogy World Congress, where I presented a few conferences, workshops there, and then travel back to Australia. So all of November I was traveling, all of December I was recalibrating, coming back into this space, back to stay with my folks, back into Australia, back into my environment, just kind of catching up with what the fuck has been, what the fuck has happened, and really just trying to take that time for myself to see where everything lands. In the process of all of this, I launched another business, which is really exciting, teaching marketing and passive income creation. So lots of things have been happening, but the undercurrent of this time it's been very challenging, if I'm being real with you. And I just felt I need to step back, right? I need to step into my own energy and figure some shit out for myself, right? Because how can I show up and guide others and share these messages or share glimmers of hope or channel things or tell people to be doing something with their life if I'm struggling to do that right now, right? And if I'm honest with you, in November particularly, it was a rock bottom for me, right? So it was one of the hardest times I've been through in my life. I was traveling through Guatemala to all these beautiful places, these beautiful Airbnbs, and having these experiences, which I should have felt so amazing. And I did. There were glimpses and moments of feeling incredible and so grateful and lucky and happy and all those things, traveling with my friends of like, oh my God, it gets to be this fucking magical. But in that, at the same time, I was simultaneously going through this rock bottom of the most crippling depression I've ever experienced, to the point of being in complete nervous system shutdown, right? So I was in freeze mode. I couldn't even figure out what I was meant to be doing, where I was meant to be going, which was a complete contrast. If you listen back to this podcast, the last episode of me speaking, I think it was a divine masculine one, but before that, it was me talking about living in mystery, living in flow, being so tapped in and living by my intuition, right? Which is what I was up until that point, so trusting, to then go into this complete nervous system freeze where I felt so disconnected and so afraid of where I was and what was happening. And am I going to get to the other side of this? And I can't keep going like this, right? That I actually, in that time over there, I damaged some of my friendships, right? because of who I was being when I was in that. I was so in it that I couldn't even see beyond me. I couldn't see how I was impacting people. And while I was aware, in a way, I could see how stuck I was and I could see what I was processing and I was trying to be compassionate with myself. I was still finding it really hard to find distance from that. And so since then, just really trying to come back to, okay, where am I headed now? What is it that I'm supposed to be focusing on while integrating all of these things that I received traveling, I received from the pyramids, I received from the Mayan ancestors, I received in these initiations and these rock bottoms. And up until, this week, really, I've been like, I don't have a desire to come on here and talk because I've been humbled, really, truly. I've been humbled to the point where I can't rightly stand up here and say that I'm a leader because I have been questioning everything that I believe, everything that I teach, everything that I am, right? And so, how can I come up here and lead others and try and give you hope and faith if I'm questioning the very things that I teach, right? I'm questioning who I am. I'm questioning my faith in God. I'm questioning what that looks like. I've been questioning whether I need to renounce literally everything and go to the church. It's just like insane. The things that are going through my mind at the moment are insane. Questioning my gifts, questioning my mission, questioning my really call to go on these grid work missions and do all these things and work with these beings, right? So very conflicted internally and thinking, what would I possibly have in this moment to show up and serve my audience and help them? How can I help others when I can't help myself, right? Is how it's been playing out for me, which has meant that I haven't gotten on here to share what I've been going through. Just give me a second. And today I realized like it's so important actually for me to get on here and share what I'm going through because I think a lot of people expect and they think someone who teaches spiritual concepts, someone who is a channeler, someone who can be, and I can, guys, you've seen me in this state, and I know myself in this state, so connected to fucking God, so connected to my channel, so connected to my intuition, in such a pure state of bliss and trust and faith and surrender. I've been there, right? I've experienced the freedom of being there. So you would look at someone like me who is a leader or who is teaching or who you go to for support and you think, oh, they would never struggle with this stuff that I'm struggling with. They would never question their faith. They would never feel disconnected from God. They would never feel alone, scared, afraid, stuck in victimhood, depressed, whatever it is. And the truth is, guys, for the past 3 months, my voice is cracking. I've been questioning everything, right? I've been really in it. And that's not to say that every single day has been like that, but there have been days where it's been so difficult to want to show up. And I've been feeling like I have nothing to show up with and I can't help. Who am I going to help being this depressed, sad, fucking falling apart version of myself? And the truth is, I could probably help you because if you're anything like me, and this has been really affecting me over the past couple of months, I've been super sensitive to it. And it's funny because it's not always like sometimes it doesn't affect me and it doesn't bother me, but it's really been at the fore of my mind, right? Of comparing myself to other people, comparing myself to other spiritual teachers, comparing myself to other spiritual business people in the industry, right? People that I'm following, people, my friends on social media, and thinking, oh my God, this life that they're experiencing is so joyful and it's so easeful and they're so abundant and this and that and this and that, whatever. And look at where I'm at and where am I in my life? And look, how unfair it is that this is where I'm at and this is where they're at and the gap or the difference, right? So comparing myself and then feeling even worse about myself because I've compared myself to some standard that's probably not true because the reality is what people put out there and what they want you to see online is not the truth of what they're really going through. You would not know. Well, maybe you would because I posted a few things, but other than me coming on here and sharing, you would not know from what I'm sharing a lot of the time that every single fucking day I'm grappling with God, being like, show yourself to me, like make this clear because I'm so lost right now, right? I'm so disconnected. I feel so alone. I feel so heavy. I feel so whatever it is, right? You wouldn't see that or you wouldn't know that. You would see me posting something about faith and you'd be like, oh, it'd be easy to have that much faith, or Lucky Beck with her faith and she's so tapped in and intuitive, and if I was that tapped in and intuitive and if I was a channel, then maybe I wouldn't have this fucking problem. And guys, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how tapped in you are, we're all human. And we all have these moments. Like I have been for the past 2 months. It's definitely eased off in mid December onwards. When I started working on my new business, things started to get a bit lighter. But I've had those moments of feeling like I'm so disconnected, and then questioning my channel, questioning my mission, questioning how I believe, questioning what I believe, questioning if there is. Actually, that's not a lie. I've never questioned if there is God. It's just how God wants me to worship is the question. Like I said, been having these dreams, these really apocalyptic dreams, like revelations from the Bible. I've been having all sorts of strange experiences, which have been completely coming from myself, right? Like, so no one is preaching at me that I'm going to hell, none of that. But I've been, I think, maybe clearing some past life flashbacks. And then I'm questioning, should I be channeling? Should I be working with Kundalini? Should I be doing what I'm doing? Am I allowed to have this, right? So it's this cycle that we go in. We reach this peak of our faith, or we reach this peak of our trust and our surrender. And then it's almost like we go through the loop again to test, okay, it's easy to trust when everything is flowing and everything is magical and everything is showing up and the things seem to be aligning. But can you hold that trust? Can you hold that faith? Can you hold that surrender when everything seems to be going to shit, when there is no sign of life, right? And this to me is what faith is. And this to me is what I think I'm here to embody and teach, because I can tell you, even in this crisis of faith where I feel like every fucking day I'm going back and forth in my mind, is this real? Is this not real? Am I going insane? Is there a God? Am I just deluded? And like, do I have to go get a normal job now and let go of everything that I built over the past 5 years? And I'm still considering that, right? Um, is it all just a lie? I always manage to come back every day. I always manage to come back to the part of myself that knows. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is or how it presents. And I could be so fucking wrong in everything that I've taught and everything that I've shared on here about what that means and what happens when we die and what consciousness is and channeling and all of these different beings and all the things that I teach on, right? Kundalini, our life force energy, our sexuality, feminine. I could be wrong about all of it. But the one thing that I know I cannot be wrong about is knowing in my heart, without a shadow of a doubt, that there is a God and that God loves all of us, right? Whew, like, feel that. It's true. And that's the only thing that has kept me going over the past few months, that knowing that there is a higher being out there supporting all of us, right? Who we can go to with everything that we're going through, and we can hand it over and say, hey, I need your help. I need your support. I can't get myself out of this, right? And that is what faith is. That faith that even if you can't feel, even if you can't hear, even if you can't connect to it in that moment when you're asking, it's knowing, it's that knowing, and that I'm going to keep holding on to this, even if you're not showing up right now, even if for some reason you've gone silent, even if everything in my life seems to be going backwards, I'm going to hold on to my faith because it's all I fucking have, right? My faith is all that I have. And that might change form. It might be that the way that I decide to worship God or serve God changes in the near future. And that's fine. That's okay. My interpretation of what God is, or what God looks like, or what God wants from me might change. But there's that knowing and that trust and that faith that this is all for my highest good, right? Even if it doesn't fucking feel like it right now, there is a benevolent, loving creator who is overseeing all of this and who is here with me. And all I need to do in any moment when I'm going through this hardship, this struggle, this lack of faith, this confusion, is trust that I will be brought back to the truth, right? And then every moment reaching for that part of yourself that knows that truth, right? So can you reach just a little bit for that part of you that knows? Can you just extend an arm, half a centimeter more towards a part of you who knows how to feel okay no matter what the fuck is going on outside, right? Because all of us have that part of ourselves who is at peace no matter what is going on. And this is what I experienced before, ironically, before I started in this process of this massive crisis of faith, which, to be honest, looking back, the things that were preceding this, I kind of understand why I'm going through it. It's because I reached a new level and I'm solidifying that new level in my power. I went through a huge breakup, which obliterated my heart. Um, I was required to leap off a cliff into a deeper level of faith, right? And it's brought up some stuff, right? So this is what happens. But I lost my train of thought. Give me a second. I can see the things leading me there, right? And I can see how they have humbled me to come back to God's will. It's not just my will, it's God's will. There's a higher will than just my will. And when we try to impose our way onto God's way, or it's got to be this way, it's got to be my way, it's got to be in my timing, it's got to look like this. You know, even the times when we're suffering, they are gifts for us. We think God doesn't want us to suffer. God wouldn't make me suffer. God wouldn't put me through this if God loved me. And that's not necessarily true, because in this suffering, in this hardship, in what I've been going through, in my rock bottom, I've developed resilience. I've developed faith. It's in those times when shit is hard that we become, it's like diamonds, right? They are forged under pressure. So if you didn't have these times where you were questioning your faith, where the things were difficult, but you were still showing up, where you were committing, you were saying, I don't give a fuck if everything is turned tits up. I recommit to my mission, right? I recommit to you guys, right? Me showing up here is me saying I'm committing to the people. I don't give a fuck if one person listens to this and it impacts them, right? I'm committed to you. That's what commitment is. That is what commitment is. And it's easy to say, I trust in the universe and I trust in God when all your manifestations are showing up and things are flush and you're in abundance and it's all good and oh, it feels so great. But where is your trust? Where is your faith when things go to shit? And this is the ironic part, right? Is that when we need to feel connected the most is when we feel the least connected. So when we're going through hardship is usually when we feel like God has abandoned us, or we can't connect, or our channel isn't working, or we're not seeing the signs, because we're in this energy that's so low that we cannot connect. We're literally on a different frequency, a different bandwidth of it. So what I was saying is, like, in those moments, you need to try as much as you can. It's not even try, it's a beingness to connect to the part of you who is fine no matter what is going on outside of you, right? And that part of you is connected to everything, is connected to God. That part of you is sitting there in the burning house and it's like, this is fine, like that meme of the dog. And knowing that there is a part of you who is always okay. There is a part of you who is always satisfied, who is always fine, right? Who's always love, who's always taken care of, right? That part of you is your soul. And that part of you, while you're human, is thinking, oh my fucking God, my whole life is on fire and burning like a dumpster fire. That part of you knows how to be okay, right? And so, even when everything around you is going to shit, can you connect to that part of you? That part of you that is the wisdom and the trust and the faith and the knowing that doesn't go away. This is our natural state of being, right? That peace, that freedom, that I'm not worried. Somehow, I don't fucking know how this is all going to sort itself out, but I'm taken care of. That's your soul, right? That's a higher part of you. And so, if you can try and just bring your human back, and this is what I've been doing, even though I know that everything looks like this is the end and it's terrible and I'm having this huge crisis of faith or whatever it is in my life, and I want to burn everything to the ground and walk away from it all. How many times have I been here and it's turned out fine, right? That's why we go through these initiations, because it's like then the next time we remember, oh, in 2020, I went through this 5 month long test of faith and I was in this dark night of the soul and I never thought I was going to get out of it. And then immediately after, everything shifted and my whole life was like a fucking miracle. Then it was so easy to trust and believe because I was in the miracle, right? And we always forget when we're in the miracle that we can go back here. When I was like this a couple months ago, when I was really, really aligned, I'm in alignment now, right? It's in alignment for me to be here. This is where I'm meant to be. But when I was feeling, oh my God, I'm so high vibe, I'm so aligned, I'm so in flow, I'm this fucking spiritual teacher. I am like one with everything, right? I'm in the mystery. It feels so good. I'm like Indiana Jones. I am love, right? when I was in that, I couldn't even remember what it felt like to stress about things, right? I was in Mexico, sometimes not even knowing how the fuck I would pay for my food. And I would have a moment of panic, maybe like 20 minutes of panic, and then I'd be like, it's fine. Like, God's fucking got this. I don't need to worry about this. If I'm meant to be here, I'll be here. Guys, I stayed there the whole time I was meant to be there, right? Right to the end, I was supported. And I couldn't even imagine what it would feel like to be worried or to be stressed or to be thinking that God doesn't have my back. And then it's like we get amnesia when we go into these low moments, when we go through these struggles. We literally get fucking amnesia and we forget what it feels like and what the reality, what the truth is. And so our job in those moments is just to try and gently nudge ourselves back to, if you can think of nothing else, think to yourself, there was a time, might have been recent, it might have been when you were a fucking kid, you might not have ever experienced it as an adult, it might be when you were a small child. There was at least one moment in your life where you felt that freedom, you felt that peace, you felt that joy, you felt that connection, you felt that ease, you saw God in a tree, you saw God in a smile that someone gave you, right? You felt that connection for even a split second. And so it's possible for you again. That's what you need to remind yourself of. I felt good once and I can feel good again. I felt trust once and I can feel trust again. I was saved once and I can be saved again. Things miraculously came out of the most impossible situation to sort out ever once before, and it's going to happen again. And that's the blind faith, guys. So, ironically, even though part of me this whole time has been having this fucking shit show and it's like all of my victim coming up and it's so unbearable. And like I said, I wouldn't want to fucking hang out with me. So I'm not surprised that I burnt some bridges in the time that I was in Guatemala and I feel really bad. And I definitely did own up because that's what self-awareness is, and apologized, right? But I had to really like look at those parts of myself that were really, really, really in victim and really depressed and really heavy and really not fun to be around, and be okay with them. What I'm trying to say, digress again, I got off topic. I'm having that experience, and simultaneously, I'm watching myself having that experience, being like, okay, this is not going to last forever, right? I'm feeling all of this in one moment, and in the next moment, I'm feeling like, but I know that God has my back, but I know that this is where I'm meant to be, but I know that for some fucking reason, me being put on my knees right now and humbled is exactly, wow, exactly the experience that I need, because I can show up as a teacher and say to you guys, I don't have it figured out, right? I'm human. Look at me being human, crying on a fucking podcast, right? And bring you hope even in my darkness. Bring someone else hope that I'm with you in this, right? I'm with you in this and I love you. And we are all just trying to figure shit out. And that's the truth, right? No matter how much someone pretends to have their life together, to be above the suffering, to be above the pain, to be beyond it, everyone goes through stuff in life. And some people's stuff might seem easier or harder or whatever it is, but it's relative. We all go through shit, and that is part of being human. And you're not the only person going through it, right? And so to me, that's what has been my focus lately. It's like, especially living with my family, they're going through some stuff. Oh my goodness, it's perfect, right? They're going through some stuff. And so to show up every day when I want to explode because the solar flares are fucking getting to me and they're triggering me and I'm in this, internal aggression or whatever it is, having an inner fucking tantrum and having this crisis of faith and being like, there is my 80-year-old dad who's having a really fucking hard time because his body's not functioning the way that he is. And he is dealing with my mom who's having mood swings because her body's not functioning the way that it is. And maybe they're having money problems or whatever it is that's their life, right? It's got nothing to do with me. They're going through their own shit. And so can I try? It's really difficult, but can I? And it's fucking difficult. And I'm saying that, guys, because I haven't mastered this. And I don't want you to think that I'm above my emotions and I don't get triggered, because it's not the fucking truth, right? If you know me, if you're in my life, you'll see that I get triggered. You'll see that I sometimes can be a bitch. The difference is that I take accountability and very quickly I can notice when I'm doing that and I'm not blind to it, right? That's the difference between a conscious person and an unconscious person. And I try my fucking hardest to not be triggered. But when I'm triggered at my parents or when something comes up or when I'm in a bad mood or whatever it is, I try really hard to bring myself back to I'm not the only fucking person going through this experience. There are people all around me who are going through their own variation of this, and I don't need to make their experience harder. So, can I try today to give them some grace? Can I try to give people the benefit of the doubt? Can I try to be kind? Even in the personal hell that I'm going through, can I try to be kind? Can I try to show up and inspire someone, even if I don't feel inspired? Because usually, us being something for someone else helps us to receive that. So, if you want love, as the saying goes, be love. If you want to be inspired, inspire someone else, right? So, that's kind of it's what I want to say today. And also been really interesting over the past couple of months because my inner dialogue has been really apparent to me. And I've been shown where, we're always responsible for what we're feeling. And sometimes it needs to get so loud. Our inner dialogue needs to get so loud that we get sick of it. And you've heard me talking about this, so I'm not going to go on about it again, but I've really, really, really been made to see like these are the thoughts that you were indulging and you were letting them affect you and you were letting them shape your reality. And do you want to continue that? Or do you want to just observe them and be like, this is not what I desire? And this situation is not what I desire anymore. And so I'm going to claim better for myself, right? And I'm going to believe that it's possible for myself. And that's what faith is. Faith is, even if I have been asking literally and fucking holding the faith for months that things are going to, that it gets to be different. It gets to feel good again. It gets to feel fucking easy. I get to feel XYZ. And it's about how I feel. It's not even about the other stuff showing up, right? I've been holding that since November. It's now January, guys. I have been holding on to delusionally the vision that I'm trying to call forward. I've been holding on to it with nothing shifting. Nothing has been fucking shifting in my reality for 3 months. And I've abandoned that vision a few times because I've been like, what's the point? I'm, watching, I'm being so adamant on my thoughts. I'm creating my reality. I'm consciously doing this and blah, 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 on top of it constantly and nothing is shifting. And I'm having to bring myself back to, I don't give a fuck if I'm deluded at this point. That's what faith is. Faith is delusion. It's like, I can't see the thing that I believe in. I can't see my manifestation. I can't see how this is all going to change. I can't see that there's a God up there giving me instructions for how to live my life, but I'm going to fucking trust it anyway. That's what faith is. Faith is delusion. A little bit. It's delusion. It's like without evidence, I'm going to believe. Right. And so maybe if you are like me going through this, it's a test of faith. It really is a test of faith. It's like, how difficult can things get? How far away can you get from your desire or from what you want to see and still believe that it's on the way to you? How dark can things get? And this is what we do because we're fucking light workers, guys. This is literally what we chose to come here and do. How messy, how dark, how painful, how human can things be? And I still hold the light, right? Like, this is not our first rodeo. And this is what we've come here to do. Like, how much forgetfulness of the truth of who I am can I endure? How much separation can I endure? How much emotional suffering can I endure? And still hold light and still hold faith and still hold trust, right? So if you're going through this, there's nothing wrong with you, is the other thing that I want to say, because I've really been like questioning, like, this path has brought me so much suffering. Ironically, for a path that's supposed to free you from suffering, I feel like this path that I'm walking down is very difficult and it involves a lot of suffering. It does. Like, that's the truth. Being a light worker is not fucking easy. Like, everyone would tell you, the healing journey is not easy. I'm trying to lean into ways where it can be more easy. And I'm trying to not to hold on to the story that has to be hard, right? But the reality is, we're called to hold light in situations that are really challenging. And the reality is, sometimes we have to suffer through things to gain that strength. That's just how it is in this reality, right? And so maybe literally we signed up. We signed up to go through this, to become who we need to be, to embody the grace, right? For me, grace and humility, the number of times I've been laid on my fucking ass and I've had to like check myself so I can come here and talk to you like this, develop the ability to be humble, considering the amount of energy that I can command through my body and the channel that I have and all these things that I'm like now really questioning if I should even have this access, right? If that's part of the reason I'm going through this. That's a whole other podcast episode. But it's to make me humble, right? So I can come on here and I can be relatable to all you people. Because if I was here and I was already, I don't know, Jesus, maybe it would be a little bit difficult. No, he was very humble, actually. So he's not a good example, but you know what I'm saying? Someone who was unrelatable because their life was fucking awesome and they always had it figured out, then maybe it wouldn't inspire you, right? So what I'm trying to say is there is a purpose for anything that we go through. And it's that is faith, is like, even if this sucks, there's a reason. And it's serving me so perfectly. And then that's what it means to let go of suffering, because it stops being suffering. Me being here, going through what I'm going through, is not suffering. And I haven't seen it as suffering. And that's the difference. While I've been in this pain and I've been in this confusion and I've been in this huge test of faith, I haven't seen it as suffering in the way that I used to, right? I haven't allowed myself to be victimized as much as I used to, because I understand that this is temporary. This whole experience is temporary. And I'm going to get through it. There's going to be, at some point, I'm going to pop out the other side. And there has, like I said, been moments, a lot of moments lately, where I'm like, it's great. I feel God. I feel this morning, for one, I had a huge, beautiful, incredible experience. And it was just like everything was washed away. Right. And I felt connected. So I'm going to start rambling and ranting if I keep going on. What I wanted to say, to summarize, is that it is now on the 11th of January. It will be a year since I started this podcast. And I started this podcast in a void, very much like I was last year. So if you have been here for the past year, listening to me, going on, sharing my life, and you're still here, I love you. I appreciate you. I hope that you have gotten something out of me sharing my experiences and that they have served you. Please share this with a friend. If this podcast has served you, I would really appreciate, leave me a comment on Apple Podcasts, share this, tell someone about it, because it enables me to keep doing what I'm doing, right? It's not easy to do what I do every day. And I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just saying to you, um, I'm still a human here, and it takes a lot to get on here and show up every day for a year, or however long it is that I've been showing up to bring this to you. So yeah, I would love that support if it aligns with you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to keep going as much as I can. I have felt a little bit like I want to take some time off the podcast, but I'm going to be here. And in saying that, guys, I have been guided, and yeah, I know I've been guided. It's crazy to say that, even in this feeling so disconnected, I'm still receiving directives of what I should be doing and how I should be serving. But I've been guided and felt guided to create a community for all of us to come together, to be held, right, as we're going through this. Because, like I said, even through all of this, even through my test of faith, even through my questioning and my dark night of the soul, again, my rock bottom, I've still been connected to God this whole time. And having that has really pulled me through, right? It's pulled me through. And it's all I have. So if there is anything that I embody, it is the ability to connect to God, even in the darkest of dark places, right? So we're in a time where the energies are really super high and they affect us. And that's just the truth. And they can be more easeful and graceful, and we can move through ascension more gently. And that's what the aim of this community is. But they still affect us. They still trigger us. They still bring up stuff for us. So this community that I have created, called Held, is going to be 2 calls a month, plus, a community chat, a community portal online, plus an email reading every month for me to help you to see what's going on with you personally. But the goal of this is to have a session every month to recalibrate your field, to clear out any density, to support you to go through this process more gracefully and feel held, right? Not feel separate and not feel alone and not feel confused and scared and isolated while you're going through this process. So it's so we can all come together. And the second one will be a community call where we just share what we're going through. Because what I've seen is a lot of other people over the past 4 months have been going 3 months, have been going through the same shit that I have, the same fucking themes, the same questions that have been coming up for them, same financial issues, the same this, the same that, the same feelings and stuff, right? And I notice every time I speak to someone else, I'm reminded that I'm not the only one, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier, right? So that's what this held community is. My gift is connecting people to that higher place, right? I can go there, and I'm really good at escaping there. So that's what, and I'm trying to anchor it here, is the purpose of being human. But that's what this community is for, to help you be elevated into those spaces and blanketed and cocooned in source love. So no matter what you're going through, you feel that trust, you feel that safety, you feel that love, you feel that stability, that support, right? Because while I go through a lot of shit, I can say I fucking embody that. I do, and I can own and claim that. My faith goes nowhere, no matter how much of a crisis of faith I'm going through. It's pretty solid, right? So let me help you to have that level of trust and faith. It's pretty low cost, guys. So check it out. I'm going to put a link down below. Share the community with someone who needs it, who's going through it at the moment. It's going to help you to have a more easeful, graceful ascension process. I think I rambled a bit because it's been a while since I've done one of these. So I love you all. Thank you for listening. If this resonated with you, if it helped you, if it served you, please send me a message over on Instagram or email me. I always love hearing how these words touch people. And to be honest, it would help me. It would help me to hear that what I'm going through is helping someone. So thank you all. I love you. And until next time, beautiful souls. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cracked Open. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend if this episode has served you in any way. For more information about the work that I do or to get in touch with me, read the show notes or head to beckmylonas.com. Until next time, beautiful soul.